Hello everyone and welcome back to Timberborn. This is episode 4 of the Road to 1000 Beavers. In the last episode we made it through our first bad tide. We got this little dam set up here where the sluice is, so now any bad water that tries to go through here will end up getting diverted out in this direction. So we are safe from future bad tides, which is excellent news. We've been trying to make sure that we can get that set up for a while now. And so now one of the next focuses in today's episode is going to be getting our power situation figured out. We have a fair amount of power with these water wheels right here, but unfortunately when a drought occurs or a bad tide, they'll stop flowing since the water is not flowing through, and then we won't have any power for these buildings. So in today's episode we're going to try and get a windmill unlocked and then also some gravity batteries placed down. But we are a little bit short on metal blocks at the moment, so one thing we should do right off the bat is get a smelter placed over here. And I think this area up here would be a fantastic place to get the windmill set up, which means we want to go ahead and get some stairs placed over here, and then also get some paths set up to get some lumberjacks up here. And now we do have a fair amount of beds that are unoccupied at the moment, and we have 8 baby beavers, which means that we could potentially have 20 more workers. And right now we don't have 20 additional jobs. So let's go ahead and get some more inventors huts placed over here, but we'll make sure we have them set to lowest priority and probably also pause them for now. And in the last episode we did also solve our food problem. We had some more carrots and sunflower seeds planted over here, as well as we have a second large farm in this area. So really if you want to pick some more crops, as long as we get a couple more farmhouses placed down, then I think that we should be able to handle all this stuff. So let's go ahead and unmark all of these for planting, and then let's get some more potatoes placed over here. Since we're a little bit short on that, grilled potatoes and raw potatoes are both running a little low. And something else that we did work on in the last episode was getting these zip lines established. You can see we have the first pair right here that goes across the river, and the beavers are already using it. We also have a second pair over here. As soon as this pylon gets constructed, then that will help these beavers over here, especially the ones in this farmhouse, get over here much quicker than just walking all the way. At the moment it seems like science is our limiting factor, since I have a few things that I want to unlock. The windmill and gravity battery are the two most important ones at the moment, but they collectively cost 520 science, which is a fair amount. And something that could help us in the long run would be an observatory, although this costs 1,000 science, and we also need to get some pine resin unlocked, and that requires getting the tapper shack, which is an additional 500 science. So that's 1,500 science in total just to get the observatory up and running. Plus we need to get our power situation figured out, since we would not be able to utilize this during the bad tide or the drought, which would render this completely useless. And as we slowly start to climb in metal blocks and planks, one other thing we can look at is getting a zipline station set up over here. And in the last episode we were able to transfer the beavers of these scavenger flags over into this area. They were originally way over here, which took a long time for them to go over there, collect the scrap metal, and then bring it back to the pile on this side. This is much closer, but unfortunately it's not a very large stockpile, so I suspect that we will go through this a little bit quicker than expected. And then that will give us two options. Option 1 is collecting the scrap metal over here, and then option 2 is getting an efficient mine setup over here and then collecting the scrap metal through this. Only downside is that it costs a whopping 4,000 science, and we also need treated planks in order to access this. So I think it's safe to say this is a fair ways off, so we realistically can't get one constructed right here, so it means we'll probably have to utilize this in the future. And since we don't want our beavers having to spend so much time walking all the way over here, I think we should preemptively get a couple more zipline stations set up over here, with the idea that we could eventually sever a connection in this direction and then put one over here once we get enough science in order to get the efficient mine up and running. So we can go ahead and get a zipline pylon set up there, and then we can get another zipline station set up somewhere over here. So we'll have the beavers start working on getting all of this constructed, and in the meantime we can also add all the connections, which they did recently make it a lot easier in order to actually connect them. And as this lumberjack flag is clearing away some of the trees, we can go ahead and get the windmill unlocked, and then go ahead and start placing some down over here. Unfortunately, I have a 3-way power shaft right here instead of a 4-way one. So at the end of the day, we can go ahead and destroy this and then get a 4-way power shaft set up, and then make sure we super high prioritize it. That way all these buildings can get power during the next beaver work day. And as you can see, we have another bad tide approaching in 3 days. Thankfully, our bad water diversion system is up and running, but we do want to look at getting a more extensive one set up. that would require us getting some explosives and then detonating a path through here that we could then have the bad water basically bypass this whole area. And as we continue to get more beavers and get more resources, that will become increasingly more viable. The beavers are currently focusing on getting the zipline station and pylon set up over here, and then after that I believe that they will start working on the windmills over here. But we can go ahead and get some platforms set up over here, so when they have time they will make their way in this direction. And it might also be worth getting some zipline stations up here, not only for the construction of all the paths that we're going to make in this direction, but also for these inventor sets that will be utilized especially during the dry season. Since we currently don't have any way to store power, we do not have the gravity battery unlocked quite yet, and it looks like we have the beaver who has finished chopping down all these trees, so we'll go ahead and get rid of him and move it into a different job. And unfortunately the beavers did trap another beaver, so we had to go ahead and remove that power shaft, so as soon as he leaves we can go ahead and get that connected back in. Oh my gosh, they almost did it again. I don't know why they have them go around the back there. We'll go ahead and pause this for now. And we have had some beavers grow up. We have 3 vacant jobs at the moment. We can toss a few of them. Actually, let's go ahead and turn on this builder's hut. And we are getting close to maxing out on wood. We're about 100 away. We don't want to have them run out of storage, so let's go ahead and get some more storage set up over here. Looks like we have a few windmills that are up and running. They are producing a decent amount of power. But overall, we're actually running a little bit under our max efficiency, so we aren't producing quite enough power at the moment. Although we probably need to connect this power shaft. And we do have enough science so we can go ahead and unlock the gravity battery. So let's go ahead and do that. And then I think we'll want to get a few of them placed over here. And the second bad tide has officially started. Thankfully, it's also only 1 day long. So the destruction probably will not be that much different than what it was the first time. And so the beavers have started constructing a few of these gravity batteries. We'll go ahead and start on this side and then work our way farther along. And it also looks like we're running a little bit low on scrap metal. We only have 3 vacant jobs, even though we have some of these inventors that's up and running, so I think it's worth to get a couple more scavenger flags set up. And as the end of the day draws near, the bad water still hasn't made it all the way down here. It takes quite a while for it to spiral all the way down here, and the sluices are officially closing, but that happened just in time as the bad tide ended. So it's going to fill up and then start spilling out this way a little bit. And our windmills just stopped, so looks like we have a couple gravity batteries that are working now. So they are pretty much depleted right off the bat. But on the bright side, the windmills started up in the evening, so now it's actually charging up the gravity batteries, which is exactly why we have them in the first place. But hopefully in the next day or two we can have the sluices open up once again and then get some more power back in the system. Another thing that I did want to work on is getting these dams replaced with some single floodgates, since it's a little bit more consistent when the water floods back into the system, instead of having this whole area get voided, which for some reason the water physics and the dams just don't agree that much. But as you can see, we actually have some builders who are sitting around, so we'll go ahead and pause them and throw them all into these inventor sets. And the water is starting to return, thankfully, because we are completely out of power now. But with these water wheels up and running, that's going to give these buildings power once again. And since we have plenty of wood and planks, we can also start getting some more of these windmills set up. And we are running into the problem that I just described. The water wheels are not consistently spinning. And since the bad tide is over, let's go ahead and get rid of these dams and then just have them be replaced with these single floodgates. So you don't need to worry about keeping this whole place irrigated since there's a constant stream of water coming through. And then go ahead and get all those single floodgates set up. So now that we have the power issue somewhat solved, I don't think that just 3 gravity batteries is quite enough in the long run, but for now we at least have access to some reserves with the addition of these windmills as well. And so now as soon as we save up 500 science, we can go ahead and get the tapper shack unlocked. But we also need to have some areas that we will actually have some trees that the tapper shack can apply. So we'll go ahead and unmark all of these trees to be chopped down. And now that we're building so many things, we can also go ahead and unpause these builders huts. And we now have 13 vacant jobs. The majority of them are these inventors huts up here, but we should look at getting some more housing placed down to expand our beaver colony. And we hit the 500 science mark, so let's go ahead and get the tapper shack unlocked. And planning ahead, we do have the tapper shack to collect the pine resin, but we will also need the tapper shack in order to make extract with maple syrup. So we'll want to go ahead and get some maple trees placed somewhere over here. So I'm also having the beavers set up some levees over here, and then we can probably get some single floodgates over here as well. and that will help give us a little bit of water backed up here. Not only will that be a nice little emergency water reserve if we need it, but it should also help expand some of our green space, and then hopefully soon we can actually go ahead and get the explosives factory unlocked. It does cost 400 science, and then the dynamite itself is 600. But if we get this all backed up and then make a little path through here, we could then block this area off and then get some more green space spreading all over in this direction. And at this point, I think it's safe to say that we don't need any berries, so we don't need to worry about keeping these around. Since we have an entire field of carrots that's ready to be picked, all it would take would just be a few more farmhouses. But this is kind of our backup right now. We're doing pretty good, about 800 food in total, most of that being carrots. And then we can go ahead and set some of these single floodgates up right here. We can also work on expanding our water wheels, since I realized I actually haven't even finished this one over here. I do want to get a couple more levees set up, but first we'll have them construct the foundation of the next sets over here. We're starting to drop a little bit in wood. Thankfully there are plenty of trees all the way up here, so we shouldn't be running out anytime soon. We just need to make sure we actually have access to them. Maybe it'd be a good idea to get another zipline station set up over in this area, especially considering we're accessing the scrap metal over here. Overall, things are looking pretty good. I do want to get the population up a bit more. We could fit some random houses over here, but I think it's worth getting some more set up in this area. So we now have some houses set up over here, although with the addition of some more beavers, we do want to make sure that their well-being is being satisfied. They're hovering around 10 right now, which is not the best. We could go ahead and get some more showers set up, and then it seems like pretty much all the social life stuff they need to be a little bit improved on. If we go ahead and remove these inventor sets over here, that opens this whole side up to get some campfires set up. We are rapidly dropping in wood. We have a decent amount of planks, so we'll go ahead and pause a couple of these lumber mills. And then we can have a couple lumberjack flags installed up here, and then have them get access to all this wood in this area. Now we have a whopping 20 beds that need to be filled, so over the course of several days they'll make some more baby beavers. So we could get up to 30 children, which is absolutely nuts. And oh my goodness, we made a few babies in the night. And if you have seen the one pod challenge, then you will be familiar with this. We are running a little bit short on wood, but I do have some things that we can go ahead and do to make sure we get some more, like getting those lumberjack flags created, and now they're starting to get some of the wood over here. And we can also get some more oak trees placed over here. So we are going overboard on getting these water wheels set up. We don't need all of them at the moment, since we're producing like over double the power that we need. Plus we have these windmills which are helping add to the power. But if we just get it all set up right now, then we won't have to worry about it for a while. And then we can also look at expanding some of our production over here, because we are sticking to planks, gears, and metal blocks at the moment. But I do want to go ahead and get the explosives factory unlocked soon. And then getting a paper mill and wood workshop up and running would also be fantastic. But first, we're saving it for the observatory. We only need about 320 science until we can get this unlocked. We did manage to get the tapper shack placed down. We have 52 pine resin at the moment, and there is even more to be collected, which is fantastic. But we do have a drought approaching in 3 days, and I'm also seeing that we are running a little bit low on food. We had 900, now we're down to under 600, and with all those additional mouths to feed, I am not surprised. Let's go ahead and get another farmhouse placed over here, and then we can also place one over here, since I don't think that these beavers can handle all the food in this area. And as the beavers continue to chop these trees down over here, I think it's worth getting a couple foresters set up just to replant these areas that are already irrigated. And we can go ahead and stick with pines, since we don't know if a longer bad tide will actually end up killing some of these trees. And something we haven't even considered yet is something that I think that I should focus on next, which is the district center, and getting another district center set up I think is the right play. We want to expand in some direction, I don't know which one at the moment. So I thought about it a little bit, and I think that I want to hold off on that just for a while. First I want to get the explosives factory and dynamite unlocked, and then also get the fluid dump unlocked, because as soon as we get this unlocked, then we can start irrigating everything in this area, and we won't be dependent on the water flowing around here that could potentially be contaminated by bad water. And the drought has officially started. It is 7 days long. Thankfully we have some windmills and gravity batteries up and running, but I suspect that they won't be able to support this entire set of buildings for the entire drought, but we can go ahead and see. Now we are getting quite close to hitting 1,000 science, which is really what we need. Want to go ahead and get the observatory placed over here soon. You know, I think I actually want to place it up here, give them a nice view of the stars. So while we're waiting on the last 100 science, let's go ahead and get some power shafts set up over here. And we just hit the 1000 science mark, so let's go ahead and get the observatory unlocked. And we'll get it placed right up here. That is a large building. And we have plenty of resources to get this constructed: gears, planks, and pine resin. And so now we'll hopefully be doing much better on science. 10 science every 3/4 of an hour, I believe. And now we can go ahead and start thinking about getting the explosives factory unlocked. And that'll take 400 science, which would be about 30 working hours for the beavers from this observatory. But they'll also have some help from some of the beavers in these inventors' huts. I've got a fun challenge for you guys. If this video gets 100 likes in the first 7 days, then I'll drop not 1 but 2 extra Timberborn videos next week. 1 for this series and 1 for the 1 pod challenge, for a total of 4 videos in the upcoming week. So if you guys want to see this happen, go ahead and hit that like button and let's make this challenge a success. And go ahead and leave a comment down below and let the other folks know that liking this video will be in everyone's best interest. And so they finished the observatory and it is working in full swing right now. We already are over 400 science, so we can go ahead and unlock the explosives factory. Although one of the downsides of unlocking this and placing it down is that this is one of the more dangerous buildings. So we're going to start to see some beaver injuries go up. And in order for us to get around that, we should go ahead and start thinking about getting the bot part factories unlocked. But that also requires us getting a refinery unlocked and then some bot part assemblers. So all in all, we're looking at like 16 or 1700 science for these 3 buildings. And these gravity batteries, even with the assistance of these windmills, are not able to quite fully support all of the buildings that we have running over here. We can go ahead and pause a lumber mill and a smelter since we're doing fantastic on both of those resources at the moment. Now as soon as this drought is over, I do want to make a modification to this dam over here. I want to go ahead and get a sluice installed in just one of these slots, and then I'll go into the settings and then I want to switch it to close above downstream depth, and then I'll have this set to probably 0.5, something like that. And then we can also go ahead and get an aquatic farmhouse unlocked and then start utilizing this space for growing some different foods, as well as we can get a Lido unlocked. So let's go ahead and start with the aquatic farmhouse, and then we'll see the range that it covers, which is basically everything in here. I don't think we'll utilize every single square inch of all the watered areas. We'll save a little bit for the Lidos, but we can go ahead and get some crops planted down. And while we are not accessing these water wheels right here, let's go ahead and get rid of these lumber mills. And then we can also go ahead and unlock the dynamite for 600 science. And let's go ahead and place some down so we can get the power shafts underground and get a path going over here. And just like that, the drought has officially ended. And we also hit the 250 science mark, so let's go ahead and get those Lidos unlocked. And then we'll place a couple down over here. And that is where we're going to wrap up today's episode. We have been making excellent progress in the district with the addition of the observatory, and now we have access to a lot more science. I think the next episode will be a great one to expand into a second district. And so this is where the fun begins. We can go ahead and start looking at some fun names for both this community and then also the future ones, which I think I'll either go over in this area or maybe I'll go somewhere over here. Somewhere that has access to scrap metal and potentially a mine. But I'm also liking the idea of getting another sluice set up over here, blocking off this whole area, and then we could have a little bit of water trickle into here, and then the sluice would also open up when some of the water evaporates out of this area. And like I said, if we hit 100 likes in the first 7 days, then I'll upload an extra episode of this series plus the 1 pod challenge. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.